From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Hello and welcome to Local 4 Live. I'm Will Jones in for Nick Monticelli. We're streaming live here on Local 4 Plus and YouTube, so please join in on the conversation. And if you're heading out for the day, pop us up on the Click on Detroit app and listen to us like a podcast as you go. Here's a look at what we have planned for you today, taking a live look in Macomb County this morning. That's where neighborhoods are cleaning up after severe storms, flooding, and even a tornado hit the area. Over to Southfield now, where today is your chance to trade up and find a new career. We're teaming up with Hired in Michigan for a skilled careers job fair happening in just a few hours. And in Detroit, we're having a conversation with the Charles H. Wright Museum on the history and significance of Juneteenth. And ahead at 9, we will be having a conversation with the CEO of the Belle Isle Conservancy, talking about possible changes to the island and a new Belle Isle Commons concept. And we want you to be involved in our conversation with our Local 4 Live question of the day. Here it is. What changes would you like to see on Belle Isle? You can scan the QR code on the screen or head to clickondetroit.com/vote. We will check in through the morning and maybe share some of your answers here on air. Getting a live look at Mount Clemens in Macomb County this morning, and neighbors in Macomb County working to clean up following severe storms, flooding, and a tornado in the area on Wednesday. Take a look at the video. You can see the rain and thunderstorms move in through downtown Detroit. It was a day full of thunderstorms, torrential rain, and flooding. At one point, a ground stop happened at Metro Airport. Macomb County getting the worst of it as the National Weather Service confirming a tornado touchdown in Fraser. A viewer sending us video showing what appears to be a vortex forming.
Got home just after it all happened. I pulled in the driveway and saw the branches in the front yard. I thought, okay, well, that's not that bad. And then I looked in the backyard. And there's a lot of trees down, but nothing hit the house or the garage.
Crews expected to be out in Fraser today to survey the damage. We are learning new tragic details about 2 separate murder-suicides in Monroe County. According to the sheriff's office, the first happened in Bedford Township, where a 33-year-old man killed a 17-year-old girl. The sheriff says the man worked as a bowling coach at her high school. We also have new information on 2 teens found dead in Rainsville Township. The sheriff confirms the 16-year-olds were dating, and the teen boy left notes in the car about a plan to take both of their lives. On clickondetroit.com, we have a list of mental health resources across Metro Detroit. Scan the QR code on your screen. That will take you to the webpage. Help is also available 24/7 by calling or texting the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at 988. Today is Juneteenth. It's a national holiday celebrating the freedom of enslaved African Americans in the U.S. There are several events happening around Metro Detroit today to celebrate. The city of Detroit has a parade starting at 9 at Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church. It goes for about a mile and a half, ending at the Joseph Walker Williams Community Center. It's expected to include some floats from the parade company. The Detroit Association of Black Organizations and DoorDash are giving away food from noon to 3 p.m. at the Bridge Center Library on Grand River. They'll be handing out free food packages and produce. Free wellness health screenings will also be offered. Over at the Charles H. Wright Museum, they have a day of free activities planned from 10 to 5, including a cookout, a film screening, and a silent disco yoga. We will be talking with the Wright Museum in about 20 minutes about what all they have planned for today. Today is your chance to trade up to a new career. Local 4 and Hired in Michigan are teaming up for the Big Michigan Skilled Careers Job Fair. It's at the Radisson Hotel on Telegraph in Southfield from 11 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. There is a long list of big employers that will be there. C.J. Eason, president of Workforce Development at Hired in Michigan, says, if you're coming, bring your resume.
One thing you want to do is you want to print out several copies of your resume. Going to a career fair event is very important that you have a resume on hand so that you can show it to the employers that are there. The second thing you want to do is you want to go to our website and you want to see the list of employers that are going to be there and look at their job opportunities that are on their website. And then if you want to create a customized resume for that company, that would be great for you to bring to the career fair event as well. Anytime you go to a career fair event, a job fair event, career fair event, whatever you want to call it, you want a hiring event. Even if a company is having a hiring event, you want to bring a hard copy of your resume, and not just one. You want to bring at least 50 copies of your resume. And what makes a great resume is that you're listing the information about the positions that you've held, the experience. If you have any computer experience, list that information. If you have industry recognized certifications, put that on your resume as well. And most importantly, if you have education, most job seekers put their education at the bottom of their resume. Put it at the top of your resume to highlight that you have the education and you have skills, workshops, industry recognized certifications. Add them to your resume to show employers that you have continued to improve in your career.
Here again is all the info. You can pre-register at jobfairgiant.com. The job fair starts at 11 and runs until 6:30. Getting a live look over downtown Detroit this morning. The storms have moved out of the way, and this weekend the kids might be able to get outside and play, but that means more summer injuries. Dr. McGeorge talking to the experts on how parents can reduce the risk of those injuries. School is out, and that means kids are outside playing more often. Right now, the emergency room at Children's Hospital is busy handling more summer injuries. Our Dr. Frank McGeorge has more on what parents can do to reduce the risk for kids.
Well, this morning, I'm joined by Dr. Kelly Levasseur from Children's Hospital of Michigan. She's actually the assistant medical director in the pediatric emergency department. And the reason that we're talking to her today is because there's been a change in the seasons. Kids are out of school, it's summer, and that means a change in illnesses, injuries. So Dr. Levasseur is a common contributor to what's going around, and she has indicated that there has been a notable shift in pediatric illnesses and injuries. So why don't you talk about what you've seen lately, Dr. Levasseur?
Sure. So we know that summertime has really hit when we start to see way more outside injuries. We see a lot more kids with broken bones, more kids with concussions. So they're outside, they're playing just with their friends, or they're outside playing sports more often, getting their heads hit. We see much more cuts. Just from kids getting into things, falling on things. So those are really the big things, are just outside injuries.
Now, you're obviously in the emergency department, so those are kids that have more serious, severe injuries. I guess as a mom, what's your sense of how often kids in general get hurt and how often maybe parents choose to stay home? And what's a deciding factor in deciding one way or another?
So that's a great question, because certainly I am biased by working in a pediatric emergency department. I would think that a lot of kids do come in. However, we know that that is not the case. And it's up to every parent and what they're comfortable taking care of with the minor injuries. So you have a minor cut that you can get the bleeding stopped in a couple of minutes, and maybe it doesn't look too deep, so you put a Band-Aid on and you move on and just make sure the healing is okay. You stubbed your toe, but within a couple of days they're walking again, not much bruising. Then stay home and you don't need to get care. But really what we suggest is when you really can't get that cut to stop bleeding, or it does look very deep, or it's very long, then that's always the time to seek care. And if you're unsure of whether to go to maybe an urgent care versus an emergency department, that's when your pediatrician or your primary doc can really step in, and you can give their office a call to help you figure out which place do you need to go to in order to get that care.
So I know as an emergency physician, I have changed the way I behave towards my kids when they were little. And I'm curious, you have 2 kids. How have you changed your behavior toward your kids, given what we see in the emergency department, all manners of injuries and accidents?
So that is a great question. And the first thing that comes to mind is trampoline.
Yeah.
So we do not have a trampoline at our house. We see in the summer, we see so many kids with trampoline injuries.
Mhm.
And most of the time it's because there are 2 kids on the trampoline and maybe
Yeah.
of different sizes. And we often see kids then who have broken their leg, or maybe, or who have fallen off, or they've hit their heads together. So that is something that with my kids, we don't have it at our house. I have let them go on a trampoline, but it's always one person at a time.
And what
Yeah.
about other things like scooters and bike safety, that
Mhm.
kind of thing?
Yeah. So anything with wheels, my kids know that they have to have a helmet on. They have a helmet on anything that moves with wheels. So whether it's a scooter or a bike, and it doesn't even have to be motorized, but that helmet is on, or they don't get to ride it. Because so many times the families come in and they said, well, I didn't think that was going to happen. But that's why we prevent things from happening by wearing a helmet or closed-toed shoes. So my kids always have to have closed-toed shoes on when they're on anything motorized too, because we've seen enough broken toes, broken feet, ankles, and also the toenails coming off. So we want to
Yeah.
prevent that.
Those are all great. Those are all great tips, actually. I hadn't thought about the open-toed shoe one in quite some time, actually. So that's a good reminder. Now,
Mhm.
one of the other things I was just thinking about, we were just focusing on accidents and injuries, but of course, the summer does not relieve the burden of communicable diseases among kids. Kids are just little germ sharers. So talk
Yes.
about the kinds of communicable diseases that we see in the summer that you've seen lately.
So what we've been seeing lately is we've still been seeing a lot of kids with strep throat. And typically there is some seasonality to kids having strep throat, but right now our number of cases is still pretty high. So certainly if you have a child that has a fever and or sore throat and or belly pain and fever, so the younger kids, they don't always say they have a sore throat. So, but if they're having fever and some belly pain, that may be the time to get in to see their doc and maybe get that strep test. The other thing that we see this time of year, we're seeing obviously just some common viral illnesses, the runny nose, coughing, fevers, but we're really starting to see the hand, foot, and mouth disease. So that's where kids, they can have high fevers, and then they can have spots on their hands and their feet, around their lips. We know we call it hand, foot, and mouth, but it really should be called hand, foot, mouth, whole body disease.
Right.
So that would also, there's not much that we can do for those kids, but we just have to make sure that we're controlling their fever and making sure that they're staying hydrated.
Excellent. So one other thing I was kind of just curious about, do you let your kids go into public swimming pools?
Yes, yes. So my kids are allowed to go into public swimming pools, and I'm glad you brought up water sports, because certainly we do see injuries from the water sports, and unfortunately we do see some kids, with drowning. So we have to be very, very careful about kids and when they're in water or even near water, because the youngest kids, it only takes about an inch of water for them to drown. And I don't think most people know that. And that's how careful we have to be when we're watching these kids. So I let my kids in, a public swimming pool or any swimming pool, but at that time, either it's me or I know there is a designated person that is to watch the kids, because unfortunately the kids who get into big trouble, it's because there's a big group of adults around and not one person was in charge of watching them because everyone else thought that somebody else was watching them.
Yeah, right.
So,
So,
yeah, I'd like to really tell parents that.
Oh yeah, no, that's a critical thing, especially of course in the summer. Pools become super popular. One final thing, I guess, part of pediatric care is what we term in medicine anticipatory guidance. That is, we try and prevent illnesses, as you've sort of talked about already. What are, I guess, the best pieces of advice that you might have to help parents keep their kids out of an ER this summer?
Great question. To stay out of the ER, again, helmets. When they're on anything with wheels, wear a helmet because we do see a lot of kids that fall off. You know, they hit a crack in the sidewalk or they go off a curb and they fall off and they hit their head. And if they have a helmet on, you're actually much less likely to have to bring them into an emergency department. So wear those helmets. And also like is sun and heat safety. So as much as you can, it's really, really warm right now, and it's probably going to be warm this whole summer. So as much as you can, limit some of the outdoor activities if they're really going to be playing sports from 10 to 4. So that's the hottest time of the day. Make sure your kids are wearing sunscreen. Just because every burn adds up. We want to prevent skin cancer from later. And when you're around water, make sure there is someone designated to watch the kids, even if you think they're really good swimmers. Outstanding.
And I will remind parents also to make sure that their kids are drinking adequately and staying hydrated as a final thing.
Absolutely.
But Dr. Levasseur, thank you so much for talking to us this morning. I really appreciate it. Again, Dr. Kelly Levasseur, she's the Assistant Medical Director in the Emergency Department at Children's Hospital of Michigan. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Very good information. Thanks, Dr. McGeorge. Getting a live look out of Tennessee, the Smoky Mountains this morning. While we see our fair share of storms here in Metro Detroit, we're taking a look at damage from across the country due to severe weather. Taking a look at some of the storm damage in other parts of the country. Strong winds in Ohio ripped off a roof of a building. Areas down in northern and central Ohio had wind gusts over 60 miles an hour, leading to trees being knocked down. Live look from the Great Smoky Mountains in Tennessee this morning. Many people in Tennessee cleaning up after major flooding in the area. Take a look at this video. A section of the freeway near the Tennessee-North Carolina border closed because of flooding and a rock slide. You can see multiple cars underwater there because of the flooding. Workers had to remove the center dividers to allow stuck cars, I should say, to turn around. Officials there hope to open at least one lane of this freeway by this afternoon. All right, Ron is here with us. Last night I was out walking the dog, I would say around 8 o'clock, and the rain just came and the wind was really crazy last night.
It was pretty wild out there. We had the storms rolling through in the afternoon hours, Will, and then yet again in the evening. And a lot of people without power this morning. I keep on forgetting that I don't have any power at home either. I ironed my shirt just in time. I would have been very wrinkled this morning.
And it looks good, yeah.
Well, thank you.
No
And-
wrinkles.
And unfortunately, there's people who have more greater concerns, I should say, apart from an iron being used.
Exactly.
We have the tornado that was reported in Macomb County and Fraser caused trees to be downed. We have power lines that are down. A lot of issues here in Metro Detroit, and it's so important for some people, of course, to have power, some people who have medical needs, medical equipment that's necessary. So hopefully the power is restored as quickly as possible for you. We know that crews and line workers are out there working diligently. Here's a look into Mount Clemens. It's cloudy out there. We do have a couple of rain showers still impacting us here in southeast Michigan. And here's a look into Southfield. You can see that, the roads are a little bit wet out there. We've had those rain showers throughout the morning. A look into downtown. Things have been across the region pretty wet this morning. A few breaks right now in the rain showers. We're at 70 degrees in Romulus. We're at 60 as we go into Lapeer, 62 in Howell, looking at 70 in Harrow. So as Track 4D radar, we have those showers popping up right now. They are anywhere from Howell going through central portions of Oakland County, right around Wixom. You see some of those showers popping up near Heartland. You'll also see showers as you go into northern portions of Macomb County. We don't need any more rainfall in Macomb. We got a lot of rain, flooding rains yesterday. We're trying to dry out. At this point, we still have the chance of a couple more thunderstorms today, but thankfully they won't be anything like yesterday. Some of those thunderstorms could develop in the afternoon and evening hours. Here's another look at some of the storm reports that came out of Macomb County. In addition to the tornado, we had gusty winds that caused damage in Macomb County, and we had, again, the flash flooding. A concern about the flooding, well, even once the waters recede, we're going to have the potential for mold development in these places which had the flooding. With the heat that we have in our forecast in the 90s, that is something you want to pay special attention to. Here's the clouds and radar. That's the system that is impacting us right there over the Great Lakes. We are seeing the rain showers on the back end of this system, and that will impact us this afternoon and evening. We go into tonight with a few of those thunderstorms still possible, and then by about 9 o'clock, a lot of that activity will be out of here, and then we'll be left with partly cloudy skies, mostly clear conditions. All right, here's the forecast for us this morning. We're in the 60s up to around 70 degrees as we go to our lunchtime. About 76 is going to be our high for today. So we have the breezy conditions. We have the showers and thunderstorms possible. Those winds are going to be out of the west and northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour, gusts up to 25 miles per hour. Now, perhaps there was a branch that was weakened that's still sort of dangling up there, caught maybe by another branch. Some of these gusty winds maybe could bring down some additional loosened or broken branches. 60 is roughly about the low for tonight, 61 at Metro Airport. Over the next few days, it is going to get hot. 83 for us tomorrow. Summer solstice is at nighttime. It's at 10:42, and then Saturday around 90 degrees. We're then from there Sunday through at least midweek in the mid-90s. We have a heat wave on the way, and I'm going to tell you this: at night we're not going to get a whole lot of relief. Temps are going to be in the 70s at night. For people that want to get that fresh, cooler air in, it's still going to be mild and humid.
So people have to be mindful of drinking a lot of water, hydrating.
Yes.
It's really dangerous when it gets up in the 90s.
Very dangerous. Yeah.
I love those temperatures.
Yeah, and other parts of the country, they're used to this, but not so much here in Michigan.
We'll be complaining back in January, wishing for warmer weather.
Yeah.
Let's take a live look at downtown this morning. We're back talking Juneteenth, I should say. It is June 19th, though. We have a conversation with the Wright Museum about this important day and the event the museum is hosting in its honor. Good morning. I'm Will Jones with a Local 4 News update. This morning, the National Weather Service plans to send out a crew to Macomb County to assess storm damage and determine the force behind a confirmed twister near Fraser. Residents are still waking up to deal with the damage caused by flooding and strong winds. And if you're watching us on the TV side, turn over to Local 4 Plus for some good conversations and discussions on Local 4 Live. Coming up, we are talking with the Charles H. Wright Museum about the significance of Juneteenth. Then at 9, we're heading to Belle Isle to talk about what's happening on the island and how it's trying to become more walking friendly. Finally, we're revealing some of the finalists for this year's Vote for the Best contest. Ron is back with a look at your forecast in just a few minutes here.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Welcome back to Local 4 Live. I'm Will Jones in for Nick Monticelli. We have a lot more news and conversations coming up for you in our next half hour. Live look in Mount Clemens this morning. Ahead, we're getting a check on the cleanup efforts underway after Macomb County sees severe flooding and a tornado. But first today, it's Juneteenth, a national holiday that celebrates the freedom of enslaved African Americans in the U.S. On this day in 1865, the last group of enslaved people in Galveston, Texas, finally received the news of the Emancipation Proclamation. Joining us now to talk about the significance of today and an event being held to celebrate the day is Jonathan Jones. He's the manager of youth and family programs at the Charles H. Wright Museum. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
And we have the same last name. We're both bald.
We are.
And we both have beards.
This is true.
Yours is a little more developed, and we both decided to rock vests today.
I didn't know you were going to be my brother, but
exactly.
I'm happy for it.
Okay, I was excited to see you. It's always nice to see another bald-headed guy shining on a Thursday.
It's the best day ever.
Now let's talk about what's going on at the Charles H. Wright Museum for Juneteenth.
Oh man, we're so excited. So today we have festivities, activities, celebrations all day long. We're going to kick that off starting at 10 o'clock with some silent yoga. There's a group in the city called City Hop. They do a City Glow. They do silent yoga on Mondays and Wednesdays in like Beacon Park and Campus Marshes. And today they're going to be doing that right there on our rotunda. And it's going to be led by an amazing yoga instructor named Erin Juliana. That's going to be phenomenal. It's a free event. It's open to the first 150 people that come and sign up. We also have some film screenings happening and a panel discussion from a group of people from the Clotilda, and they're going to actually be discussing what that enslavement process looked like for people that weren't actually taken from the continent of Africa, but were still forced into that transatlantic slave trade. And so that's going to be a very powerful discussion that's going to be moderated by the city's historian, Jamon Jordan. And then we're going to be having a concert at the end with a locally based band called Gin and Juice, who are just phenomenal. And then throughout the day, we still have activities going. We have the exhibits that are open. We have food trucks that'll be outside. There'll be a gaming truck outside. There are going to be some African dancing happening right there on the rotunda. We are super excited about celebrating this community with the entire city of Detroit and anybody else that wants to come.
How long has the Wright Museum put together programming for Juneteenth?
So we have been celebrating Juneteenth since our inception. We just started scaling it up as it became a national holiday. So every year we have done something to make sure that we are honoring that Independence Day. Though Juneteenth celebrates specifically the Galveston Texans finding out about the Emancipation Proclamation, it is a beacon for all people that have ever had that suffrage and getting the opportunity to really celebrate what it means to be a full-fledged American, a full-fledged free individual in this country. And so we have been giving those history lessons. We have been giving those celebrations. We've been doing the cakewalks. We've been celebrating with the city since the museum has been around since 1965.
And it's been a federal holiday for 5 years now. Have you noticed more people are interested in learning about what Juneteenth is and why it's important to celebrate?
100%. I think it was just not on people's radar before. But now that it has become a federal holiday, now that people are recognizing it on a national scale, people want to know what that means. Like, what was the Emancipation Proclamation versus what was the 13th Amendment? When did the Emancipation Proclamation get passed? What is 1863 versus 1865? How does that impact where I am? How does that impact my lineage? How does that impact my neighbors? And how does that connect me to my history and my culture? And so it's been fascinating to watch intergenerational audiences come to a conclusion together and grow.
Let's talk about the political climate now. There are a lot of attacks on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. A lot of discussions about what should be taught, how Black history should be presented. Does that change at all the work that you do at the Wright Museum?
It actually doesn't. And the reason why is because one of the key focuses that we have at the Wright Museum is making sure that it's understood that this is a commonly shared history. Yes, our museum is called the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History, but African American history is a part of the entirety of history. And so what we have always strived to make sure people understand is that this is everyone's history. It's yours, it's mine, it's Johnny's, it's Aiden's, it's Ainsley's, it's Sue Young's, it's everybody's history. And so we need to make sure that everybody's understanding of that concept. And so with our exhibitions, with our programming, with our educational outreaches, with our marketing, we want to make sure that people understand that this is collective and that is conjoining for everyone.
You have a couple of events today focused on knowing the history of our area as well as knowing your own history. I want to first talk about knowing your own history and genealogy. How important is it for people to know their lineage?
It is essential. One of the things that people that are of African descent in this country have always struggled with is knowing who we are. One of the reasons that I think the book Roots, the movie Roots, hit so hard when they came out is because it was someone literally pinpointing, this is how far back I can actually go. And that has been so suspect for a lot of people in this country for so long. So anytime that you can get that connection, anytime you can find a way to trace back and actually understand, like, why does my nose look this way? Why do my ears hang the way they do? Why do I walk a certain way? And you can be like, oh, I got that from my grandfather. I got that from my great grandmother. Oh, that revelation really speaks to the core of who you are, because knowing that past helps you to define where I got, and where I got helps me to define where I'm going.
About 10 years ago, I started actively researching my history, and I was able to trace back to the early 1800s and learn some things about my relatives, that one of them fought in the Civil War, and with the, I believe the U.S. colored troops, if I think I have that right, and that is very important. And I didn't know his name was on a memorial in D.C., and that really changes your perspective, and it really makes you realize the sacrifices those people who've come before you made so you can live a life of your dreams.
Exactly. I mean, when you find these moments, those sparks that are like, oh, that's a part of me. That's a part of who I am. When I started working at the Wright Museum, I've been around that institution my whole life. I went to elementary school right around the corner. Dr. Wright actually came by my elementary school when they started building the building that exists now, and was like, when it's open, y'all, make sure y'all come and get these memberships. And I was like, yeah, great, who cares? I was a kid. I started working there, and I find out from my aunt, 3 years after I'm working there, the man that designed the masks that are above the doors of our institution is my cousin.
Wow.
I'm like, what?
That's amazing.
I'm telling everybody about this, but I don't know about this. It made a difference. And so that impact for anybody makes a difference.
And before we wrap up, I just want to mention, you all want to stress that this is for everyone, these events. It's not just for African Americans. You want everyone to celebrate this history because it's a vital part of American history.
100%. It is for everyone. It is for you, it's for me, it's for him, it's for her, it's for every last individual that understands what it means to be a human being. And that is what is key for understanding and growing as a community. And so, yes, everybody come out.
All right. Well, I appreciate you stopping by, and thank you for the bald hair care tips before we came on. I'm gonna invest. You said bevel.
Bevel, man.
Okay. Because us bald guys, we gotta get our shine
together.
on.
We gotta do it.
Not shine too much. I have to pat down the head because.
Well, you on TV.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Thank you, cuz.
Thank you, cousin.
All right. Join Local 4 and our partners at the Michigan Chronicle for an inspirational conversation with women who lead. This Pancakes and Politics Forum features the female CEOs from Gardner White and GW Home Walker Miller Energy Services and the Detroit Medical Center. You can watch the chat streaming live Friday morning at 7:45 on Local 4 Plus and the homepage of clickondetroit.com. Taking a look at some My Picks this morning. Next, we head back to Macomb County, where neighborhoods are cleaning up. Severe storms, heavy flooding, and a tornado left a lot of damage behind. Time for your top headlines this morning, starting with Metro Detroit storms. Getting a look at some My Picks this morning from Mount Clemens in New Baltimore. This shows us how powerful those severe storms were that hit Metro Detroit on Wednesday. And as Shantae Passmore reports, Macomb County saw the brunt of the storm. Shantae Passmore is in Fraser for us with the cleanup efforts.
Hey, Will, good morning to you and everyone back at home. This is what people in Fraser are waking up to right now. You can see this trampoline caught up in the lines like that. Just incredible to think, according to city officials, that there were no reported injuries. But that's just part of the story. Let's walk over here because I want to show you what happened to this particular mature tree. You can see snapped in half like a twig, like it was nothing. There's caution tape, tree debris, tree limb all around it. Looks like it clipped part of the home, but it's unclear right now what kind of damage, if any, that property owner is dealing with. Meanwhile, in Harrison Township, they were dealing with cleaning up following yesterday's deluge. In fact, the heavy rain led to this mobile home complex to once again be underwater. Our cameras did capture some people having to resort to using kayaks to navigate around the neighborhood. Our team actually spoke to a man over the phone because he couldn't even step outside of his home.
No, I'm not walking out there now. Honestly, every time it rains hard, we have our corner flooded, and it's never been this bad.
And back here in Fraser, we are learning that the National Weather Service will send out a survey team to assess the damage like what you see right here behind me and also determine the force of the twister. We are in Fraser. I'm Shantae Passmore, Local 4.
All right, appreciate it, Shantae. Let's take a look at some other My Picks that we got during Thursday's storms. Take a look at this photo out of Royal Oak showing down wires and a tree in the middle of the street. Take a look at this photo and video Alyssa posted from Macomb. It shows the flooding in her neighborhood. If you have any photos of the storm damage, you can use the QR code on your screen to submit them to My Picks. Moving to the Middle East now, as Iran and Israel exchange fire, President Trump is weighing his options on whether the U.S. will get directly involved in the conflict. Alice Barr is in Washington as lawmakers battle over restricting his authority to unilaterally make that decision. The GOP is split over whether going to war is the right or wrong move.
This morning, Israel assessing damage from a new round of Iranian airstrikes hitting a major hospital in the south and areas around Tel Aviv. That after Israel struck another target in the Iranian nuclear program that it's seeking to destroy, as President Trump weighs whether the U.S. military will join that mission.
I like to make the final decision 1 second before it's due, because things change. I mean, especially with war.
The president meeting again with his national security advisors, considering whether to launch U.S. strikes on Iran, despite growing threats of retaliation.
I may do it, I may not do it.
Israeli strikes have probably set Iran's nuclear program back by a few months already, according to two sources with knowledge of the matter. But one critical underground facility would likely require an American bunker-busting bomb. President Trump suggesting he'd given Iran an ultimatum and that the path is narrowing to a diplomatic deal that many on Capitol Hill want.
We don't need to escalate in Iran. That doesn't make anyone in the Middle East safer, and it certainly doesn't make the United States any safer.
Growing division among Republicans, with some backing military intervention.
Either you want them to have a nuclear weapon or you don't. And if you don't, if diplomacy fails, you use force.
Others, like Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, arguing against another Middle East entanglement.
I don't want to get involved either, but I've been saying for 20 years, maybe longer, that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon.
How close Iran may be to developing a nuclear weapon remains an open and pressing question. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
President Trump said he thinks Iran was a few weeks away from having nuclear weapons, a projection at odds with the U.S. intelligence community. That, according to two sources with NBC News. The government has not made a decision to rush toward building a nuclear weapon. Investigators have the day off as the stock market is closed for the Juneteenth holiday. When the markets open back up, investors will see how things are shaking out following the Fed's decision to keep interest rates steady, which means borrowing costs for credit cards, auto loans, and mortgages are staying high. The Fed says tariffs haven't made a big impact yet, but is waiting to see if that changes over the summer months. Financial experts explain two reasons why the Fed could decide to lower rates in the future.
We want interest rates to come down because the inflation pressures are receding and the Fed can take the foot off the brake pedal a little bit. We don't want interest rates to come down because the economy is sputtering and it needs the stimulus of lower interest rates.
The Fed will meet again at the end of July, a few weeks after a July 9th deadline. President Trump gave dozens of countries to negotiate trade deals and avoid higher tariffs. Live look over Harbor Springs this morning. While the temperatures are warming up across Michigan, many up north still dealing with the ice storm from earlier this year. Next, a new update on the state's progress on their recovery efforts. Getting a live look at Rogers City this morning as we deal with warm weather. Communities up north are still recovering after ice storms damaged dozens of neighborhoods. The Presque Isle Electric and Gas Co-op is sharing two maps. The left showing some progress in clearing trees. The right shows progress in the efforts to clean up broken power poles and lines. You can see the green areas are where cleanup process is completed. The yellow marks where efforts are underway. The red is where no progress has been made. Recovery efforts are expected to last until early fall. That's a long time. All right, Ron, got an early start this morning, and it was warm out there, and it's going to heat up. And we're talking 90s at some point in your
Are you
forecast.
saying it was warm this morning for you?
Yeah.
Well, I guess in comparison, if you're thinking like relatively speaking, it's a mild start. We're going to be seeing those temps only going up a few more degrees, topping out in the mid 70s, Will. And you're talking about it being warm right now. So imagine when we see those temps going up another 20 degrees or more, and then we're going to see the heat indices a lot closer to 100 degrees as well, because we have the actual air temps and then we have the humidity, which will make it feel even more oppressive. So far this year, we have not had any days of 90 degrees. We've only topped out in the upper 80s. Well, on average, we have close to 2 weeks worth of 90-degree days, 90 degrees or greater. So the average for a typical year, about 13. We are going to get about maybe 5 or so days of 90-degree weather as we go into next week. Here's a look, high temp forecast versus the record. You see the high temp forecast on the left side in the red. The record is on the right side in the orange. We're going to get increasingly close to our record and maybe even threaten our record as we go into next week. So it is going to be hot out there. Again, temps in the 90s in our forecast. We will have feel-like temperatures near 100. So average highs being in the lower 80s. We are shy of that today. we're going to be well above that as we go into the weekend. Right now, a Zach Track 4D radar showing a couple of showers popping up here in southeast Michigan. You see that line right there. That line, it's not severe at all or anything like that. It's a line of rain. You could get some gusty winds coming out of that as it sweeps across southeast Michigan. Right now, we're seeing those rain showers moving through Oakland County, Macomb County, St. Clair County, going back to the west, southern portions of Livingston County and northern portions of Washtenaw County getting a little of that rain. We will have more rain opportunities as we go into the afternoon hours. And at that time, we could even see a few thunderstorms popping up as well. Here's a look at the bigger picture, the system responsible for this weather that we're getting. The cold front has already moved through. We have the thunderstorms developing out ahead of it and along of that front. We are still getting some rain from that L that you see right there, the low pressure system. So that is going to take longer to get out of the region. You'll see that drifting away from us. On the backside of it, we have the showers and we have the thunderstorm potential this afternoon and evening. A look right now as we head toward the 4 o'clock hour with our clouds and radar forecast. Showers and thunderstorms firing up. Maybe there's some outdoor activities that you want to go to. Go ahead and go just because you might not get the rain in your area, but be prepared just in case there is some rain showers where you are going to be headed. Tonight, things clear out. Partly cloudy, looking pretty good. We're going to see those temps again topping out around the mid-70s. We're going to get to around 70 for lunchtime, and then those mid-70s come a little bit later in the afternoon hours. Mostly cloudy, showers and thunderstorms, winds out of the west and northwest 10 to 15 miles per hour with gusts up to 25 miles per hour. And then as you go into the thumb, you'll notice that the temps are slightly cooler. We're in the lower 70s. Tonight, right around 60 degrees for our overnight low, winds out of the west at 10 miles per hour, skies clearing, becoming partly cloudy. Going into tomorrow in the afternoon, 83 degrees, around 90 for Saturday, and then we have several days of mid-90s, lows only in the mid-70s. And our high today is forecast for the mid-70s. So imagine that. Our high today is going to be what our lows will be as we go into next week.
So people are going to have the AC on.
Yes.
If you have it.
Exactly. Yeah. And we are hoping that, there's no issues with power. We know sometimes when there's that demand for electricity, sometimes there's some outages. So hopefully that isn't the case.
All right. Appreciate it, Ron. Thank you so much. Live look at the Mackinac Bridge this morning. When we get back, we're with the 2 Michigan spots that made it on the list of the best places to camp in the entire Midwest. This weekend on Local 4, we are celebrating high school football and airing the 2025 All-Star Game at 7:30 on Saturday. 80 of the top senior players in Michigan will meet up at Lawrence Tech this morning at 7. Jason Colthorpe and Rhonda Walker spoke to coaches Jimmy Macon from Detroit Central High, who is on the East team, Coach Mark Jerfster from Gladwin High School for the West team.
Many of them, like on my side of the ball, I know we have a lot of guys that already got scholarships.
Yeah.
And if not, some of them probably going to a junior college, and that way they can still continue their education and also, play football at the collegiate level.
So what can folks expect on Saturday in terms of the competition and what's planned for this game?
I would say you could expect the best of the best. I mean, we have athletes all across the field, very good football players, and I think it's going to be a fun, event for everybody.
Sweet.
2025 Michigan High School Football Coaches Association All-Star Game Saturday, June 21st at Lawrence Tech University in Southfield at 7:30. Admission is $10 and parking is $10 as well. And you can watch the game live on Local 4 and Local 4 Plus. Getting a live look at mutinying in the Upper Peninsula this morning. That's near the Picture Rocks National Lakeshore, and that's where a camping spot was just named one of the best in the U.S. According to a campsite called Dirt, the camping sites along the North Country Trail of Pictured Rocks were named the 5th best place in the Midwest to go camping. Not to be outdone, just past the Mackinac Bridge in northern Michigan, the Northern Exposure Campground and RV Park was named 6th on the list. The two sites were named with other places in Ohio, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Missouri, Iowa, Illinois, and Indiana. Much more ahead in our next hour of news. Are you one of the millions that visit Belle Isle every year, especially in the summer? There's a plan to make it easier to get from attraction to attraction. We're chatting with the president of the Belle Isle Conservancy about how they want to get that done. Plus, Consumer Reports with the best ways to avoid getting duped if you're buying something online from resale sites. Then we're getting a sneak peek at the finalists in our annual Vote for the Best. More news and weather in our next half hour. Stay with us.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Local 4 Live. It's 9 a.m., and I'm Will Jones. I'm not Nick Monticelli. He's off on vacation. We have a lot to cover in the next half hour. It's a soggy, muggy Thursday morning, the day after we saw serious storms across the entire area and a tornado in Macomb County. We're getting a look at the aftermath in the daylight as the area prepares for a heat wave. Belle Isle is the summer spot for so many in Detroit, and there's a push to make it easier to walk to all of the attractions instead of drive. The president of the Belle Isle Conservancy is here to show us how the island may be changing. And we are revealing the first finalists in our vote for the best competition, best pizza, burgers, ice cream, and more. So stick around for that. We want you to be involved in today's show as we stream here on Local 4 Plus and YouTube. That brings us to our Local 4 Live question of the day. What changes would you like to see on Belle Isle? You can scan the QR code on your screen to weigh in or go to clickondetroit.com/vote. We might share some of your comments on air. About 7,500 homes are without power this morning after that severe weather rolled through the area. Macomb County saw the worst of it with a tornado confirmed near Fraser. Shantae Passmore is there this morning to show us what people are dealing with.
Hey, Will, good morning to you and everyone back at home. This is what people in Fraser are waking up to right now. You can see this trampoline caught up in the lines like that. Just incredible to think, according to city officials, that there were no reported injuries. But that's just part of the story. Let's walk over here because I want to show you what happened to this particular mature tree. You can see snapped in half like a twig, like it was nothing. There's caution tape, tree debris, tree limb all around it. Looks like it clipped part of the home, but it's unclear right now what kind of damage, if any, that property owner is dealing with. Meanwhile, in Harrison Township, they were dealing with cleaning up following yesterday's deluge. In fact, the heavy rain led to this mobile home complex to once again be underwater. Our cameras did capture some people having to resort to using kayaks to navigate around the neighborhood. Our team actually spoke to a man over the phone because he couldn't even step outside of his home.
No, I'm not walking out there now. Honestly, every time it rains hard, we have our corner flooded, and it's never been this bad.
And back here in Fraser, we are learning that the National Weather Service will send out a survey team to assess the damage like what you see right here behind me and also determine the force of the twister. We are in Fraser. I'm Shantae Passmore, Local 4.
All right, Shantae, it's a muggy morning out there, and we're still seeing some rain. Ron will be here in a few minutes to talk about what we can expect today and the hot temperatures on the way. We're talking 90s. Let's get you caught up on the overnight developments in the Middle East. An Iranian missile hit the main hospital in southern Italy this morning. We do know people are hurt, but the medical facility says no one is seriously injured. Other missiles hit a high-rise apartment building in Tel Aviv. Israel is also carrying out strikes targeting another nuclear facility. Iran's supreme leader is rejecting President Trump's calls for the country to surrender, warning any military involvement by the U.S. would cause, quote, irreparable damage to them. Today is Juneteenth, a national holiday that celebrates the freedom of enslaved African Americans in the U.S. On this day in 1865, the last group of enslaved people in Galveston, Texas, finally received the news of the Emancipation Proclamation. You're looking live at the city of Galveston this morning. Happy Juneteenth, everyone. There are several events happening around Metro Detroit to celebrate the day. The city of Detroit has a parade starting at 9 at Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church. It goes for about a mile and a half, ending at the Joseph Walker Williams Community Center. It's expected to include some floats from the parade company. The Detroit Association of Black Organizations and DoorDash are giving away food from noon to 3 p.m. at the Bridge Center Library on the Grand River. They'll be handing out free food packages and produce. Free wellness health screenings will also be offered. Over at the Charles Wright Museum, they have a day of free activities planned from 10 to 5, including a cookout, a film screening, and a silent disco yoga. Well, Belle Isle is a Detroit treasure, and we know so many of you are planning to head there on Monday for the Ford fireworks. Well, there's a new plan to make it easier for people to walk to all of the attractions on the island. The Belle Isle Conservancy wants to create a public square called the Belle Isle Commons. Joining us now to talk about it is Megan Elliott, the president of the Belle Isle Conservancy. Good morning, and thank you for being with us this morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
So Belle Isle is huge, 982 acres, I believe. And I heard you say in a previous interview that it is the second most visited state park in the country. Do I have that right?
That's right. Only following Niagara Falls.
And talk about why Belle Isle is just such a jewel here in Detroit.
Oh, do you have a longer segment for that? I mean, Belle Isle means something different to everyone, but it is so beloved. Every single space of that island, wherever I go and I tell people the work that I do every day, I get handed photographs of, my grandmother used to take me to this spot, and here's a picture we used to take every year. People tell me their memories on the beach, in front of the aquarium, all around the island, and it's Detroit's backyard. It's for everyone, and it's a welcoming and inclusive space, and you can find whatever you're looking for on the island.
And public space really connects our community together, right?
Absolutely. And, I feel like Belle Isle is the epicenter of that. We've done so much work over the years to improve all of our neighborhood parks, to create greenways that connect them. And Belle Isle's our beloved center space of that whole network of spaces. And it's just really important to everyone.
Belle Isle Commons. Mm-hmm. Tell me what it is and how it came about.
Yes. So it came about from residents. So there was a study called the Belle Isle Multimodal Mobility Study. That's definitely a mouthful.
Yeah, hard to say, but you nailed it.
Yeah. But it's basically, kind of the question was people getting onto the island and then getting around once they're on the island. How can we improve that? And overwhelmingly, folks told us, once we get onto the island, it'd be really nice if we were going to the beach to be able to walk to the conservatory. If we were going to the Dawson Great Lakes Museum, how nice would it be to be able to get to Sunset Point? And so people are really hungry for a way to get around better on the island and not have to get back in their car and go to the next parking lot to enjoy the park. So out of that study, we also looked at where everyone's going on the park and found that 61% of folks, their number one destination is the aquarium and conservatory. So our next step was, okay, let's figure out a plan that can kind of create a public plaza or square that connects all of these beloved spaces, that gives you kind of a destination, a first stop on the island, whether you've been going for your entire life or, you're coming from another country and this is your first experience on Belle Isle. And in that center public square, you feel connected to all of the assets right around you. So that's what we're in the process of developing right now. And it really centers around actually removing the parking lot that's in front of the aquarium and conservatory, creating all the same parking spaces in a very close proximity, but turning that into the public plaza. And then from there, you can get to the Udolph Garden, you can get to the conservatory, the Dawson, the Giant Slide, Kids Row, maybe a reimagined White House, if folks are familiar with that building. So it's really just trying to connect the dots and make that experience vibrant, and that will allow us to do programming in the future in that space and really kind of open it up year round. So everyone knows how to use the park in the summertime, but encouraging folks to come out year round, as a lot of people do, but we want even more people to be able to enjoy their park that way.
All right, you're not going anywhere. We have a lot more to talk about with Belle Isle, including what's next in the Belle Isle Commons project, and also some of the other improvements going on the island or that have happened already. We'll see you back after the other end of this break. Welcome back. We're chatting with Megan Elliott, the president of the Belle Isle Conservancy. So what are the next steps for the Public Square project?
So we've been working on that design, and basically the whole concept there is just to get something on paper that then we can turn right back around and show the community and have everyone weigh in. So we've kept it pretty rough. It's not like these fully perfect finished renderings where everyone says, well, you already decided what you're doing. You know, we really want folks to weigh in on that process. So we're going to be actually working on an event in September that'll be September 16th, and it'll be open to the public, and we're going to actually transform the space of that parking lot into a temporary version of the Commons, just so that people can come walk it, experience it firsthand, weigh in, give us their thoughts, and then from there we'll continue on with even more engagement across the city to really get folks' opinions of what's working, what's not working, what would they change, et cetera.
When could a project of this magnitude be done?
It depends on the money, you know, that's always the case. So we're, you know, at the Conservancy, we always work to fundraise so that we can deliver on these capital projects that we're asking folks so much time to weigh in on. So we're already in the process of trying to raise those dollars, and we'll keep going with that, and we'll be able to develop a timeline once we have funds in hand.
So a lot of other exciting projects are underway or have happened on Belle Isle. I want you to list some of those out for us.
Yeah. So right now, the Scott Fountain is under construction. There's a $6 million investment happening there, which is amazing. A lot of the marble of the basin needs to be replaced, and so that's an investment that really needs to happen. I know that everyone is very disappointed to not be able to walk in front of that fountain and take their pictures. So many people love that space.
It's beautiful.
But it will be back and better than ever. So it kind of, you know, we'll keep it in place for the next 100 years. So that's a big project. We also have the Belle Isle Aquarium and the Conservatory are receiving an HVAC, which it's never had in its 120-year history.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so you'll see fences around the aquarium, and I want to assure everyone that it is still open to the public Thursday through Sunday. A lot of the work is being done in the basement. So we are open even though you'll see those fences go up. And that'll be a project that is also across this year and next.
And I read that 5.5 million people, or am I close? 5.4?
Yes.
Okay, 5.5. Yes. That's a lot of people. How do you maintain a park and keep it so beautiful with all those visitors?
It's a partnership. So, you know, the MDNR manages the grounds maintenance and runs the capital projects on the island. The conservation officers and the Michigan State Police manage public safety and community policing on the island. We, like I said, do a lot of the fundraising to make a lot of these projects happen. And we also run the aquarium. We do volunteer coordination for all the volunteer projects that happen on the island. And lots of other kind of fun educational components. The zoo has the Belle Isle Nature Center. The Historical Society runs the Dawson Great Lakes Museum. So there's just so many people that work really hard year-round to keep the space beautiful, clean, and enjoyable for everyone, and exactly, you know, what they already love about Belle Isle.
All right, appreciate it, Megan. We have some answers on the Local 4 Live question of the day from Lisa in Detroit. What would you like to see at Belle Isle? Here's what they said. They would like to see a healthy food-based bistro. There's always a lot of runners, bikers, walkers, rollerblades on Belle Isle. There are very few healthy food options with the food trucks that come on the island. From Tanya in Detroit, she said, local original music doesn't get enough love in the city. We're Motown, so we love our music. I would love for live, local, all original music to come to the island on a regular basis, and I would love even more to be the curator of these events. All right, Tanya is looking for a job. She should submit her resume.
Yeah,
all right,
we'll give Tanya a call.
Yeah. Any thoughts about those?
Yeah, I mean, both of those are things that we hear all the time. I do want to give a shout out to MOBIG, which stands for Music on Belle Isle Group. They curate a summer concert series. We've also got, if folks are familiar with Marcus Elliott, he
no
is
relation?
No relation
Okay.
to me. He's a Detroit jazz musician, saxophonist, and he has actually created a beautiful series in partnership with the Detroit Parks Coalition across the summer, kicking off soon with Chandler Park. But that series is unique individual compositions for each of the parks that he's visited. And then the capstone performance will be on Belle Isle in September. So that's a really special way to lift up kind of our local music scene. And each one of those concerts has a different flavor and, again, inspiration based on the park that it's in. So they're Chandler, Clark Park, Palmer, all around the city, and then ending with Belle Isle. So definitely hear that all the time, and we would love to see even more of that. So we'll reach out to Tanya. And then with the healthy food options, we hear a lot of that too, and more consistency of availability of foods, and we're definitely working on that project.
All right, thank you so much. You're doing a wonderful job at Belle Isle. We really appreciate it. I love going there with my family.
Yeah, well, I'd love to see you out there next time, and come on out, everyone. Thanks so much.
All right, appreciate your time. If you're heading out to Belle Isle or anywhere downtown for the Ford fireworks, make sure you tune in to Local 4 on Monday night. It's one of our favorite nights of the year, and we have big things planned. It all kicks off Monday night at 8. Now, after a day of serious storms, the weather is changing. Ron will show us how many days in a row we're going to be over 90 degrees. That's next. We want to show you some of your video of what you experienced during yesterday's storms. This is from Alyssa in Macomb, showing a video of the flooding in her neighborhood. Look at that car driving right through. Ron is here now with the weather, and it was pretty bad yesterday. A tornado reported in Fraser.
That's right. You know, we had the tornado confirmed. We have the radar signatures. We have the ground observations video of the tornado. So while the National Weather Service still has to survey, and that's a typical part of any tornado confirmation, they're going to survey the damage and determine the rating, the path, the length, narrow down the exact timing of everything. They have enough evidence to already confirm that a tornado touched down. We had the straight line winds causing damage. We had flash flooding. We see the footage of that all across Southeast Michigan, but especially in Macomb County, getting hit very hard. And while we're drying out right now, in some parts of town, others of us still getting rain. So we've got this rain that's with us. Hopefully things are going to improve shortly for people, and hopefully people get their power back on. I want to show you what we have in store for us. Look at this. It is going to get hot out there. Today, we're in the mid-70s for our high. We go into tomorrow into the lower 80s. And then after that, in the weekend, we are going to see highs in the lower to mid-90s. It is going to be hot. It's not just the dry heat that you might expect sometimes. What we're going to be experiencing, Will, is the combination of excessive heat in some cases with actually the humidity, which will make it feel like it's closer to 100 degrees. So ExactTrack 4D radar right now showing that we do have a little line of showers moving across Southeast Michigan right now. Later on, we're going to have more showers and maybe even some thunderstorms as we go into the afternoon and evening hours. This line right here stretching from Ann Arbor into Livonia, Northville, getting some of this rain, Farmington Hills. We have it in Oak Park, Madison Heights, stretching into Warren and Sterling Heights. You go into Port Huron, and that line extends all the way to the east, so draped across southeast Michigan. Here's the system bringing us that inclement weather. We are going to have that opportunity again for some showers and thunderstorms this afternoon and into the evening hours. Some of those showers or some of the thunderstorms could bring some heavy rain, something we do not need. We go into the nighttime hours, things clear out. Partly cloudy skies. So on this Juneteenth, it is a cool one. We should be in the lower 80s. That's our average high. We're going to be in the mid 70s. And then as we go into tomorrow, 70, or later on today, 76. And then tomorrow, we're going to see those temps finally getting up into the 80s. But you see across the region, a little cooler today. So we're going to have a low of 60 degrees tonight to about 61 in Detroit. And I talked about those 80s returning for tomorrow. There it is, 83 degrees, and we have summer arriving at night. Well, just in time for our first full day of summer, Saturday, around 90 degrees, mid-90s after that wheel, overnight lows in the 70s. It is going to be hot, even for people who like the heat.
We both like summer, right?
We do like it. I don't like the humidity, though, I have to admit.
Okay.
And I like to have power when it's hot.
Okay.
The electricity, the AC is very helpful.
Exactly, yeah.
So, yeah.
When you're sweating on your sheets, sleeping.
Exactly.
But yeah, the utility companies are working hard to restore power for all those customers impacted. Thank you, Ron.
Definitely.
If you're buying from places like Facebook Marketplace and Poshmark, how do you know you're getting a legitimate product? We're back with some tips to avoid counterfeits from Consumer Reports. Popular sites like Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist make it easy to scroll for good deals or make a few bucks on items you want to get rid of. When it comes to the in-person exchange, Consumer Reports says it's important to make sure you're buying smart and selling safe. Here's Rhonda Walker.
No doubt there are bargain hunters on online community platforms, whether it's for furniture, clothes, or toys. When the buyer hands you the cash, give it a good look.
This has a very slick feel to it.
Right.
You know, but this one doesn't. It has more of a threaded paper feel.
Watch out for funny money. Some are obvious, some not so much. Officer Brent Forgy knows how to spot fake cash. He says don't get duped with a prop or movie money. Recently, this $100 bill was exchanged, then a bank teller flagged it as fake. The Secret Service reports the threat of counterfeit continues to evolve because of the advances in technology and the availability of scanning and printing devices. A recent study found the value of counterfeits in circulation at any moment is likely about $15 million. Officer Forgy says do what's called tilt the note. Watch the color change.
In the corner, it has the amount of the note right here. You can see the 10, the 20, the 50, and the 100. You can't fake that. Here it looks gold, correct? And I hope you can get this on the camera. When you turn it 45 degrees, it turns green.
That means this bill is legit. If you can, Avoid cash. Instead, after inspecting the product, use an app such as Apple Cash or Cash App, but beware it may offer limited fraud protection. To protect yourself, send a small test payment, maybe a few cents or $1, or scan the seller's in-app QR code to ensure that you're sending money to the right person. When you meet to collect your purchase, choose a well-lit, heavily trafficked public location. Never meet at someone's home. Meeting in front of a police station is also a good choice, and some towns designate safe zones just for this purpose. Officer Forgy adds, tell a friend.
Let someone know where you're going to be at, the date and the time.
And never share any personal information, your home address, a credit card number, an email address. And also be sure to communicate through the site's messaging feature. If you move the conversation to email or text, you might lose some protections.
We're there in like 15 minutes.
That was Rhonda Walker reporting. If you're shopping online, avoid buying used child car seats, bike helmets, and other products where safety is critical. You don't know the product's history, and no deal is worth the safety risk. Before spending any money, make sure what you're buying isn't recalled. That's important. You can search for the product on recalls.gov. It's that time of year. Kids are out riding their bikes, enjoying summer break, but it also means they're getting hurt more often. Dr. Frank McGeorge is chatting with a doctor at Children's Hospital about the most common summer injuries and how parents can help prevent them.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Local 4 Live. I'm Will Jones in for Nick Monticelli, and thanks for watching on this Juneteenth. School is out, and that means kids are outside playing more often. And right now, the emergency room at Children's Hospital is busy handling more summer injuries. Our Dr. Frank McGeorge has more on what parents can do to reduce the risk for kids.
Well, this morning, I'm joined by Dr. Kelly Levasseur from Children's Hospital of Michigan. She's actually the assistant medical director in the pediatric emergency department. And the reason that we're talking to her today is because there's been a change in the seasons. Kids are out of school, it's summer, and that means a change in illnesses, injuries. So Dr. Levasseur is a common contributor to what's going around, and she has indicated that there has been a notable shift in pediatric illnesses and injuries. So why don't you talk about what you've seen lately, Dr. Levasseur?
Sure. So we know that summertime has really hit when we start to see way more outside injuries. We see a lot more kids with broken bones, more kids with concussions. So they're outside, they're playing just with their friends, or they're outside playing sports more often, getting their heads hit. We see much more cuts. Just from kids getting into things, falling on things. So those are really the big things, are just outside injuries.
Now, you're obviously in the emergency department, so those are kids that have more serious, severe injuries. I guess as a mom, what's your sense of how often kids in general get hurt and how often maybe parents choose to stay home? And what's a deciding factor in deciding one way or another?
So that's a great question, because certainly I am biased by working in a pediatric emergency department. I would think that a lot of kids do come in. However, we know that that is not the case. And it's up to every parent and what they're comfortable taking care of with the minor injuries. So you have a minor cut that you can get the bleeding stopped in a couple of minutes, and maybe it doesn't look too deep, so you put a Band-Aid on and you move on and just make sure the healing is okay. You stubbed your toe, but within a couple of days they're walking again, not much bruising. Then stay home and you don't need to get care. But really what we suggest is when you really can't get that cut to stop bleeding, or it does look very deep, or it's very long, then that's always the time to seek care. And if you're unsure of whether to go to maybe an urgent care versus an emergency department, that's when your pediatrician or your primary doc can really step in, and you can give their office a call to help you figure out which place do you need to go to in order to get that care.
So I know as an emergency physician, I have changed the way I behave towards my kids when they were little. And I'm curious, you have two kids. How have you changed your behavior toward your kids, given what we see in the emergency department, all manners of injuries and accidents?
So that is a great question. And the first thing that comes to mind is trampoline.
Yeah.
So we do not have a trampoline at our house. We see in the summer, we see so many kids with trampoline injuries. And most of the time it's because there are two kids on the trampoline and maybe of different sizes. And we often see kids then who have broken their leg, or maybe, or who have fallen off, or they've hit their heads together. So that is something that with my kids, we don't have it at our house. I have let them go on a trampoline, but it's always one person at a time.
And what about other things like scooters and bike safety, that kind of thing?
Yeah. So anything with wheels, my kids know that they have to have a helmet on. They have a helmet on anything that moves with wheels. So whether it's a scooter or a bike, and it doesn't even have to be motorized, but that helmet is on, or they don't get to ride it. Because so many times the families come in and they said, well, I didn't think that was going to happen. But that's why we prevent things from happening by wearing a helmet or closed-toed shoes. So my kids always have to have closed-toed shoes on when they're on anything motorized too, because we've seen enough broken toes, broken feet, ankles, and also the toenails coming off. So we want to prevent that.
Oh, those are all great. Those are all great tips, actually. I hadn't thought about the open-toed shoe one in quite some time, actually. So that's a good reminder. Now, one of the other things I was just thinking about, we were just focusing on accidents and injuries, but of course, the summer does not relieve the burden of communicable diseases among kids. Kids are just little germ sharers. So talk about the kinds of communicable diseases that we see in the summer that you've seen lately.
So what we've been seeing lately is we've still been seeing a lot of kids with strep throat. And typically there is some seasonality to kids having strep throat, but right now our number of cases is still pretty high. So certainly if you have a child that has a fever and or sore throat and or belly pain and fever, so the younger kids, they don't always say they have a sore throat. So, but if they're having fever and some belly pain, that may be the time to get in to see their doc and maybe get that strep test. The other thing that we see this time of year, we're seeing obviously just some common viral illnesses, the runny nose, coughing, fevers, but we're really starting to see the hand, foot, and mouth disease. So that's where kids, they can have high fevers, and then they can have spots on their hands and their feet, around their lips. We know we call it hand, foot, and mouth, but it really should be called hand, foot, mouth, whole body disease. So that would also, there's not much that we can do for those kids, but we just have to make sure that we're controlling their fever and making sure that they're staying hydrated.
Excellent. So one other thing I was kind of just curious about, do you let your kids go into public swimming pools?
Yes. So my kids are allowed to go into public swimming pools, and I'm glad you brought up water sports, because certainly we do see injuries from the water sports, and unfortunately we do see some kids, drowning. So we have to be very, very careful about kids and when they're in water or even near water, because the youngest kids, it only takes about an inch of water for them to drown. And I don't think most people know that. And that's how careful we have to be when we're watching these kids. So I let my kids in, a public swimming pool or any swimming pool, but at that time, either it's me or I know there is a designated person that is to watch the kids. Because unfortunately, the kids who get into big trouble, it's because there's a big group of adults around and not one person was in charge of watching them because everyone else thought that somebody else was watching them.
Yeah, right.
So
yeah,
if I could really tell parents that.
Oh yeah, no, that's a critical thing, especially of course in the summer. Pools become super popular. One final thing, I guess, part of pediatric care is what we term in medicine anticipatory guidance. That is, we try and prevent illnesses, as you've sort of talked about already. What are, I guess, the best pieces of advice that you might have to help parents keep their kids out of an ER this summer?
Great question. To stay out of the ER, again, helmets. When they're on anything with wheels, wear a helmet because we do see a lot of kids that fall off. They hit a crack in the sidewalk or they go off a curb and they fall off and they hit their head. And if they have a helmet on, you're actually much less likely to have to bring them into an emergency department. So wear those helmets. And also is sun and heat safety. So as much as you can, it's really, really warm right now, and it's probably going to be warm this whole summer. So as much as you can, limit some of the outdoor activities if they're really going to be playing sports from 10 to 4. So that's the hottest time of the day. Make sure your kids are wearing sunscreen. Just because every burn adds up. We want to prevent skin cancer from later. And when you're around water, make sure there is someone designated to watch the kids, even if you think they're really good swimmers.
Outstanding. And I will remind parents also to make sure that their kids are drinking adequately and staying hydrated as a final thing.
Absolutely.
But Dr. Levasseur, thank you so much for talking to us this morning. I really appreciate it. Again, Dr. Kelly Levasseur, she's the Assistant Medical Director in the Emergency Department at Children's Hospital of Michigan. Thanks again.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dr. McGeorge. Very important information. Join Local 4 and our partners at the Michigan Chronicle for an inspirational conversation with women who lead. This Pancakes and Politics Forum features the female CEOs from Gardner White and GW Home and Walker Miller Energy Services and the Detroit Medical Center. You can watch the chat streaming live Friday morning at 7:45 on Local 4 Plus and the homepage of clickondetroit.com. Still ahead, a look at the aftermath of yesterday's storms, and we're looking ahead to the big changes coming our way. If you're heading out to the Ford fireworks on Monday, it's going to be a hot one. Getting a live look at Mount Clemens in Macomb County this morning. Neighbors in Macomb County working to clean up following severe storms, flooding, and a tornado in the area on Wednesday. Take a look at the video. You can see the rain and thunderstorms moved in through downtown Detroit. It was a day full of thunderstorms, torrential rain, and flooding. At one point, a ground stop happened at Metro Airport. Macomb County getting the worst of it as the National Weather Service confirming a tornado touchdown in Fraser. A viewer sending us video showing what appears to be a vortex forming.
Got home just after it all happened. I pulled in the driveway and saw the branches in the front yard. I thought, okay, well, that's not that bad. And then I looked in the backyard. And there's a lot of trees down, but nothing hit the house or the garage.
30 years. Wow, over 30. Crews expected to be out in Fraser today to survey the damage. We are learning new tragic details about two separate murder-suicides in Monroe County. According to the sheriff's office, the first happened in Bedford Township, where a 33-year-old man killed a 17-year-old girl. The sheriff says the man worked as a bowling coach at her high school. We also have new information on two teens found dead in Rainsville Township. The sheriff confirms the 16-year-olds were dating, and the teen boy left notes in the car about a plan to take both their lives. On clickondetroit.com, we have a list of mental health resources across Metro Detroit. Scanning the QR code on your screen will take you to the webpage. Help is also available 24/7 by calling or texting the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at 988. All right, Ron is joining us to talk about the forecast. He mentioned it was a mild start to the day, and if you like a mild start, that's good. But if you don't like the heat, get prepared. The heat is coming.
Get prepared. I mean, start thinking about things right now. I don't want people to get stressed and worried because that never serves anything, Will.
Yeah.
But just think about maybe if I don't have air conditioning, where can I go? Can I go to maybe a store? Can I go and spend time with family or a friend? Who do I need to check on? Maybe checking on your relatives. These are all things that people can start thinking about now, because when I say it's going to get hot, it is going to be hot out there. Several days of 90s in our forecast. So far, 0. We're looking at possibly seeing maybe a stretch of 5 days of 90-degree weather or greater. So an average is 13 days a year of 90 degrees or better. It is going to be hot out there. Take a look at this. High temps in the forecast versus the records. We're going to be seeing mid-70s today. The record for today, about 20 degrees greater. We have, going into tomorrow, 83 for forecast high. The record, 97. Saturday, the forecast, 91. The record, 96. As we go into our Sunday, we are getting a lot closer to that record high. 95 is the forecast, the record being 98. We could easily tie or even break the records as we go into next week. The normals for us, 81 degrees and lower 80s. That's where we should be at this point in June. It is going to be hot out there, everybody. Really hot. Exact track 4D radar, we have rain showers moving across southeast Michigan right now, mostly moving toward the southeast. Some of these showers right here could bring us just a little moisture again on the ground, wetting the grounds. Just make sure you slow down and don't hydroplane. We've had a lot of rainfall over the past day. Exact track 4D radar showing more showers as you go up towards Saginaw and Midland. And then as you zoom in, let's get a little bit closer. You can see right now a couple of showers popping up in Warren, East Point. Got showers draped across Detroit, Redford, going into Livonia. Not too far away from Ypsilanti. So Wayne, Canton, getting a couple of showers. This is the system responsible for our weather. It is going to be moving away from us, but before it does, it gives us a chance of rain showers and thunderstorms throughout the afternoon and into the evening hours. Look at that. We get to around 4 o'clock. Showers and thunderstorms popping up here in Metro Detroit. Go into the late evening hours. A few showers with us still, a couple of thunderstorms, and finally things moving out of here, hopefully by 9 o'clock. And then clearer conditions. On this Juneteenth, we're in the mid-70s. That's a comfortable temperature that you need to enjoy. Enjoy it because it is going to be hot out there. We're going to be around 76, about 4 or 5 o'clock. Got the clouds out there, winds out of west-northwest, 10 to 15 miles per hour, 25 mile per hour gusts. And then as we go into the northern communities and toward the thumb, slightly cooler. Tonight, lows right around 60 degrees. And over the next few days, there it is. I've been talking about it. Been talking about it all morning, and we will be talking about it a lot more as this heat wave takes over southeast Michigan, bringing us potentially dangerous heat. You're not going to get a whole lot of relief at nighttime because those are the lowest temperatures of night. We'll spend much of the evening hours probably still in the 80s. So, that's the lowest temperature that comes in the early morning hours, Will.
All right, appreciate it, Ron. I'm trying to hold in a cough right now. I need to get a cough drop. I didn't mean to cough through your weather.
Oh, no
I wasn't trying to be rude, All right, still ahead is one of the most popular things we do here at Local 4, Vote for the Best. We had more than 7,200 nominations in categories like Best Pizza, Burger, and more. Up next, a sneak peek at some of the finalists. Local 4 is about to announce our Vote for the Best finalists. That happens tomorrow, but this morning we're giving you a sneak peek at some of the biggest categories. Jack Roscops is Local 4's social media guru, and you're here to talk about the Vote for the Best finalists.
Vote for the best.
Let's start with pizza.
Yes. Okay. So we have a ton of categories. Obviously, we do this every year, and we had people nominate, and then the editors here. We also picked a few of our favorites too. So this is pizza, but this is all types of pizza because we have Detroit style pizza, and then this is regular pizza. So the nominees are Alibi of Troy, DeMarco's Italian Restaurant and Wine Bar in Rochester, Green Lantern, one of my favorites. I have their app and I use their points. If you don't use their points at Green Lantern, you should start doing it. You get free pizza. Michigan and Trumbull in Detroit, which is also nominated for Best Detroit Style Pizza as well. That's a station favorite here at work. We get it all the time. Moot's Pizzeria and Bar in Detroit, also one of my favorites. The hot honey pizza is so good. My Pizza Place in Sterling Heights, Slice Society in St. Clair Shores, Sapino Pizzeria, again, one of my favorites. Have you had Sapinos?
Yeah, it's good. My go-to.
I'm going to see a show with the Fisher Theater tonight, and I might go there before the show. Tenera Winery in Sterling Heights, and Tormina's Pizza, which I think is in Royal Oak.
Okay, let's talk about burgers.
Okay.
I love a good juicy burger.
Who doesn't love a burger? Okay, here are the nominees. Basement Burger Bar, which I think is in downtown Detroit. And they have one in Farmington, pretty good. Bates's Burgers, Biggs Bar and Grill in Chesterfield Township. Shout out to them. I had my 21st birthday there.
How was that? Good memories?
It was okay.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Too much drinking?
Yeah. Right. Falls Sports Lounge in Dearborn. Miller's Bar in Dearborn. We have a lot of good burgers in Dearborn, apparently. Mykonos Restaurant in Taylor. Red Coat Tavern. Rudy's Prime Steakhouse in Clarkston, Shamrock Pub in Utica, and Toasted Oak Grill and Market in Novi.
Ron mentioned it's going to be hot in the coming days, 90s, so this is very important. Ice cream.
Yes, this is probably my favorite category because I have quite the sweet tooth. Okay, the nominees are Kathy's Homemade Goodies in St. Clair Shores, Cook's Farm Dairy in Ortonville, Doug's Delight in Hazel Park, my personal favorite. It's down the street from where I live. They make homemade soft serve ice cream, which I don't really know of that many places that actually make like homemade soft serve ice cream. It is the best. It's so good.
What do you recommend there?
I mean, I always get they have a Dougie, which is like their version of a Blizzard. So I always get I get a chocolate and vanilla swirl Dougie with Butterfinger. That's like normally my go-to. But they always have like a special flavor on, they call it on tap, so like recently they had like a homemade strawberry soft serve. Right now they have a horchata soft serve because I follow them on Instagram and they post all the time. It is just it's the best. If you live in Hazel Park or Ferndale or anywhere near there, go there. Okay, sorry. Irma's original frozen custard, also a classic. Hippy Dippy Creamery in Marysville, Holy Cow Creamery in Wyandotte, Screamer's Ice Cream in Sterling Heights, Sweet Treat Station in Woodhaven, Taylor Queen Ice Cream Shop in Taylor, and Wally's Frozen Custard in St. Clair Shores.
Been thinking about taking some golf lessons.
Oh, do you golf?
No, that's why I'm thinking about taking some lessons.
Yeah,
because
I
want to be a golfer. I get envious when other people are like, I'm going out.
Yeah, my mom and dad are really good at golfing, and that gene did not pass down to me. I've tried so many times. I have clubs, and I'll golf like once or twice a year, but
sell them to me.
Yeah, maybe.
Another great category.
Yes, these are our best golf courses.
Yeah, let's go.
The Cardinal at St. John's in Plymouth, the Links of Novi, Moose Ridge Golf Course in South Lyon, the Orchids Golf Club in Waterford Township, Shepherd's Hollow Golf Club in Clarkston, Solitude Links Golf Course in Kimball Township, University of Michigan Golf Course in Ann Arbor, and Westwind Golf Course in Oakland Township. Those are our best golf courses.
All right, so we're both going to take some lessons, and then we're going to check them out. Yeah. Deal?
Yes, that's happening.
Right,
I'll hold you to it.
Are you winking?
Yes.
No? Okay. All right. Thanks, Jack. The rest of the winners will be announced tomorrow, and voting opens Monday. We'll be right back. There's a great event happening in Detroit tomorrow focused on families, health, and wellness. It's called Community Care Day, and it's part of the Detroit Central High School class of 1985's 40th reunion. for decades. The Wayne Mobile Health Unit will be there for blood pressure screenings, cholesterol screenings, and flu shots. The event is tomorrow from 11 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon at Detroit Central High School. We have so much more coming up throughout the day here on Local 4. Kim and Tati from Live in the D are here to show us what's ahead. Hey, friends.
Hey, great seeing you on this show.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I'm keeping the seat warm for Nick Monticelli. He'll be back.
But yeah, so we have got a great show lined up. We're talking some baseball. Ever heard of Kerry Carpenter? One of the hottest players in baseball right now. By the way,
kind of familiar.
Detroit Tigers, the hottest team in baseball. How good does it feel to say that?
We have the Lions, the Tigers, the Pistons. They're all doing well.
Doing big things.
Yeah.
Big things.
So I wish I could say that we were having Kerry Carpenter on the show, but he's busy. He's, working on the baseball thing. Yeah. However, he has teamed up with Savvy Sliders, and they have a combo meal that they are offering in honor of Kerry Carpenter. He came up with the whole combo.
The whole idea.
And they're bringing the combo on the show.
What time?
Will is like
start at 11.
Okay, yeah, I might be on Live in the D today.
Exactly.
Of course, it's Juneteenth, so we're gonna talk about the holiday and kind of inform people who may not be as familiar, and tell you about an event that's coming up in celebration of Juneteenth. So we got a packed day.
A lot of events going on to celebrate Juneteenth. So want to inform everyone about that. Inform everyone about the Savvy Sliders, and we just got a fun show on tap today.
We do. I missed Kim.
I missed you. Yeah.
So this is
Did you have a good time off?
It was good.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate it. We look forward to Live in the D.
Live in the D. Join us at 11 a.m.
on Local 4.
Well, thank you for joining us for Local 4 Live. More news and weather ahead here on Local 4 Plus, and always on clickondetroit.com. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for being here.
corporate lawyers because you're.
I know. They do make a good point a lot of times why we don't get full knowledge of things, because they can't trust us to not do that.
Right.
And I don't blame them sometimes. Hang on, is that straight? There we go. I should go like that.
Here we go.